Hi, this is Regitze Simonsen. Today I want to discuss why human beings, start to drink cow's milk. Because this is definitely not a normal and natural thing to do. Just think about it. One species drinking the milk from another species. Anyway, we're only, all mammals except human beings, they only drink milk when they're babies. So why did grown-up human beings started to drink milk from another species? So let's dive a little bit into the history. There's a lot of myths around it. So why did people start to drink milk? It's so normal now, but really when you think about it, like I said, a grown person drinking milk that is for babies and not even from their own mother, but from a different species, that's just weird. Let's go back in time. If we go back in time to the Neolithic Revolution, it's around 10,000 years ago. Early farmers in part of Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, it's believed that they started to drink milk, probably because of starvation, and also as a source of nutrition, but also liquid. But there was a lot of problems with it. Milk contains a lot of bacteria, and it contains lactose. And the human beings are lactose intolerant after they are weaned, so after they are a couple of years old, when they're not supposed to be drinking their mother's milk anymore. Then they become lactose intolerant. Lactose is the milk sugar in milk, and we have an enzyme as babies that we're born with called lactase that is there to break down lactose, and we lose this enzyme when we're a couple of years old. Normally, most people do. But around 7,500 years ago, some people, mostly in Northern Europe, they started to they had a genetic mutation that made them lactase persistent, so they didn't lose this lactose or lactase enzyme. But there's still around 80 to 95% of the population on Earth are still lactose intolerant. So it's a very small percentage of people who can actually digest milk as adults. So let's see what happens here. We drink milk which contains lactose, and if we're babies, or if we're lucky to have this lactase enzyme, then milk is broken down, or lactose is broken down into glucose, which is sugar, and galactose, different kind of sugar, and then we have normal digestion. No problem. There's still problems, but I'll get to that later. But if a person that doesn't have the lactase enzyme, they drink milk, and the lactose then binds to H2O, which is water, and then they have diarrhea. Because it's not broken down and they can't digest it. And some of the symptoms that they have are pain and cramps in the lower belly, gas, bloating, diarrhea, loose stool, kind of the same thing, and gurgling sound. So indigestion in general. But what happened was that the Industrial Revolution, they marketed the transformation of milk from a survival food to a booming industry. Technologies like pasteurization that gets rid of the bacteria in milk, refrigeration so that it can last longer, and railways so that it can be transported faster, made milk more accessible and also safer to consume. So this is today's production. Not too natural environment for a cow. But during the World War I and II, the dairy product production skyrocketed, and there was a big surplus. And therefore the farmers, they lobbied the government, and they created a relationship with the government. So the government, they actually helped the farmers sell their milk. The governments in many countries made marketing campaigns, and they adjusted the dietary guidelines to include milk like it's something healthy. So they actually lied to the consumers just so the farmers could earn money, they could sell their product. Very great cooperation they had there. So this is one of the ads that the government made back during that time there, during the evolution. So here's the deal. Cow's milk is not natural for the human body. It creates a lot of problems for human beings. Not just indigestion and diarrhea and stomach cramps, but milk contains growth hormone because it's meant for a growing calf that's supposed to be growing really fast. So it contains growth hormone, and when human beings consume that, then they're not growing anymore. Even if kids that are growing, they consume it, it's still a risk factor. And it leads to then cells in our body are still growing, but when we're not growing, it leads to then cancer growth. So it's very cancer promoting. And also, since milk comes from a cow that just gave birth, and often they are impregnated right after birth again, so it contains a lot of hormones. And the hormones also leads to different kinds of cancer, like breast cancer, prostate cancer, and also other types of cancer. It also contains a lot of fat and leads to diabetes. And then there's the environmental issues, because milk production and also meat production is one of the most environmental destructive things in the world. It produces way more CO2, or actually methane, which is a stronger environmental gas than CO2. It produces way more of that than the whole entire transportation industry or sector. And then there's of course the animal suffering, which I think is the most important. We cannot, as human beings, be taking advantage and exploiting and taking advantage of other species just because we can. The strong people, or whenever there's a strong person and a weak person, it's not fair that the strong person takes advantage and exploits the weaker person. And it's also not fair that human beings we may not be physically stronger, but we're using tools, and we have our brain that does that we can keep animals trapped and abuse them any way that we want, and it's just not fair that we do that just because we can. So just 3 cups of milk per day gives you a significant increase of breast cancer, just an example. But it's not just breast cancer, it's also prostate cancer and other types of cancer. But there is a simple solution, and that is milk, kind of milk, but plant-based milk, which is of course not really milk, but it's just called milk. But it comes from different kind of plants. There's almond milk, soya milk, which soya milk actually prevents breast cancer. Studies have shown that. And different kinds of milk, rice milk, oat milk, there's many kinds, and luckily, thank God, there's more and more different kinds of plant-based foods and drinks that are being produced now. So there's no reason to not shift to a plant-based diet. So thank you so much for watching. Please share this with anyone that needs to know. Share it with your friends, and have a healthy and happy life, and shift to a plant-based diet. Comment below if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them, and have a great day. Take care. Bye.